When we move up to the more characteristic postures of Baguazhang, we then begin to do our Qigong on the circle. So first of all, we need to learn how to walk, and then we also need to know how to hold the body. So when we're walking the circle, we always want our hips pointing around the circumference. Now, the upper body is going to turn in 90 degrees or as far round as you possibly can to put that torque on the waist. From your start position, you're going to take a sliding step forward with your left foot. So notice that as you place your heel on the circumference, there is going to be no weight that's placed on this left heel. Now, before I take my right step through, I'm going to slide that left foot forwards, and that's going to indicate that at the moment that I take my right step, there is no weight on that left foot. So as soon as I slip it forward just ever so slightly further forwards, my right foot slides through and I place my toes on the circumference. Now we do exactly the same thing. Before we can take that left step, we need to show that there's no weight on that right, so we slide it forwards ever so slightly. And then as soon as you slip, you step through, again placing that left heel on the circumference. When you get to the position where you need to change, because you're in this position with the right toes on the circumference of the left heel, we're going to turn on the ball of the right foot, heel of the left until we get around, and then the right foot's going to turn out. We use the same principle. Before we take a step, we let that right foot slip forwards, and that just shows that there's no weight and all the control stays on the back leg. We then take a quick step through with the left foot, and that's placed toe on the circumference. So every single step that you take, you're going to slip before you step, and then slip, and then step. With the hand positions, we hold our hands, so if we start in the number 1 position, as we turn our body in, you'll see how the back hand drops slightly and sits a little bit further behind the front. Okay, so if I turn this to the front, you'll see my hand position. So again, if we take 2 number 1 palms, as we twist the upper body, because my right shoulder is further back than my left, it's going to sit just in about the center of the forearm. There are classics that describe the distancing, but first I want you to just focus on the comfort and how to walk the circle. So from this position here, we're trying to just breathe and walk as we walk around the circle. And this is going to form stage 2 of your Qigong training. So in this position here, this is where we change our palm postures. So we start with number 1 and we walk the circle in both directions. So we walk around and then we can switch and walk the other way. Again, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, and number 8. So when we're doing our Qigong walk around the circle, there are going to be times when we need to change direction. And this is where we have 2 options. We have an inside and an outside change. So again, if we take up our basic walking position, we turn our hands in. Number 3 is the basic or the most common posture that you'll see in Baguazhang. When we do our basic or traditional Qigong walk around the circle, we tend to use the number 3 palm. So as the hands turn in, this is our position for when we walk. Now, every time we want to change direction, we have to decide on the foot position whether it's going to be an inside or an outside change. So for the easy option, if I'm walking around and my left side is closest to the center of the circle, if I have my right foot forwards, this is going to be an inside change. So what it does is it allows me to turn on the heels and just switch directions nice and easily. Okay, so from this position with my hands, all I need to do is just pick on top or underneath with the backhand and just drive the backhand to the front, and my body will change direction, and then I can continue my walk. Again, as I said, it can be done over the top as well. So there'll be times when you strike over the top of your own arm, and then also times when you strike from underneath your own arm. Depending on the trapping situation or a combat reference or a different part of the form where we need a different attribute to go with the movement. So from this position here, I'm simply turning on my heels turn 90 degrees, and then on my next step is when I readjust back onto the circumference. If my feet are the opposite way around, so again, I'm walking around with my left side closest to the center of the circle, my legs are now crossed, so if I try one of those outside changes, I can't because my own foot position locks off my movement, which means that we need to go the long way round, we need to go all the way around the outside. So from here, what happens is I take my left hand over my shoulder. As I turn 180 degrees on my heels this time, I bring the right one out from underneath. Again, this is exactly the same as the inside change. I can go on top or underneath. I can throw my right hand that's now at the front. I can throw it underneath my left hand, and my left hand comes out over the top. Same thing, I can throw my left hand over the top of my right hand comes out from underneath, and vice versa. So over the top and underneath, and again, in any combination that you want to do it. And that means that I'm now ready to continue the walk, so I don't have to take an additional step before I can actually turn the direction of my body.